Hello, my name is Nicholas Zandejo, and I am a student studying at Lambton High School. And the two senior foundation subjects I've been studying for this year were Ready for IT in Semester 1 and Engineering and Mechanics for Semester 2. Now came the question, what do I want to achieve in the future? Well, 3 years from now, I intend on joining the Australian Defence Force Academy in Canberra, where opportunities for pursuing work and education in my career are plentiful. In my future career, I intend on pursuing a career that heavily involves engineering and iSTEM, as I'm genuinely skilled in these subjects. Some job examples include a systems engineer, a mechanical engineer, and an aerospace engineer. Ready for IT. Python is an all-round programming language which is extremely flexible in its use cases. Applications, websites, web applications, and AI and machine learning are all extremely good examples of how Python can be used for a variety of cases. With Python, I created multiple programs that could calculate your shopping basket's total cost effectively and accurately by creating programs that use the syntax if, print, strings, and variables. By doing this, I was able to meet the requirement of planning and building information systems and solving conflicts in programming. During the second part of the semester, my IT class used a program called Adobe Premiere. Over the few weeks we've been using it, we learned how to create, transition, and mix audio to create a video of any kind. And in this project, I decided to collaborate with another student named Joshua Miller, and yeah. For semester 2 of 2021, I had Engineering and Mechanics 101 as my second senior foundation subject. The core competencies for this subject included effectively communicating ideas using writing and/or symbols and/or verbally, using creative and critical thinking skills and practices to produce innovative ideas and products, working successfully in the digital world, identifying and solving problems by planning, organizing and thinking ahead, and collaborating. This course gave me an in-depth understanding to beginners engineering mechanics and its topics of moments, friction and forces. Effective communicator. During the course, I had learned all the necessary language as well as skills needed to be successful with the tasks presented. I was able to effectively explain solutions to problems in catapult design to my peers, as well as communicate solutions to mathematical problems to my teacher. Creative, innovative, and critical thinking. Over the duration of the course, I could effectively demonstrate my critical thinking capacity by solving problems that came up in our design for our catapult, and also solving problems in general. Problems happen frequently, but I was able to adapt and reflect on these mistakes so I could prevent those types of problems from occurring again. Effectively using IT. IT was a big part of this engineering course during lockdown, as we had to use IT as our main point of communication for ideas, and as well as our main communication point in general. With this, our group used IT to communicate multiple catapult designs to ultimately come up with the best design we could with our abilities. Forces and moments. Moments was the first topic given to us by Mr. Pat. It involved heavy use of maths, and the work was fairly independent as it was during lockdown. Here's my evidence to show for that. Now, catapults. The second project we were given to complete was to construct a catapult type structure using paddle pop sticks and a hydraulic contraption to push the catapult. Using our knowledge of moments and forces, my group created a catapult design that met the criteria. Our first assessment task for Ready for IT was Python and programming. And steps I took to complete the task was to first complete the Python basic programs on W3 Schools, which prepared me for the most part. I followed all the steps that Mr. Redding had showed us as he gave us an introduction lesson for Python. We learned a few more simple programs that he had written with this program, and after this I created some programs of my own and asked for help where I needed. My skill chosen for future focus skills was critical thinking and problem solving. I used this skill quite frequently throughout the task as I was quite new to programming in general. I was always looking back on the programs I had written with W3 skills and my code, and my thinking was largely based off of it to see if I could solve issues on my own. It impacted my learning majorly as I had to think structurally, as thinking all over the place would have landed me in more trouble than I initially needed. I believe that critical thinking and problem solving is an important skill to have, as it can be used in everyday activities and can help students further their learning. Since I was new to this subject, I didn't have the previous knowledge that some of my other classmates did. This had me struggle a lot in the first 2 weeks, but I used problem solving to overcome this issue for the most part, and asked for help only as a last resort. I learned a lot over the course of this assessment. I enjoyed the thought process that went into it, and mostly gained new insights into different thought processes I never thought I would have followed. My second task was Adobe Premiere. I listened to Mr. Redding when he was going through the program and listing all the tools we needed. This was important as I had only used this program a few times and I did not want to miss out on any new skills. My future focus skill I had chosen for this was creative thinking. This is the most used future focus skill in this assessment, as the program needed me to think of my own designs and come up with creative visions and ideas. For each individual project in this task, we had to use creative thinking to come up with new video concepts. This had a big impact on my learning, but nevertheless, I loved it, and yeah. Some of the problems I had was due to it being a collaborative project, it was hard to communicate to the other party while he was at home. Some aspects of learning that I had, I certainly gained some new skills that I didn't have before taking this subject, and can now effectively use the Adobe program and incorporate it into my future. Our first assessment task for Engineering Mechanics 101 was moments. This involved thinking about the question, planning and organising my brain for the question, and doing the question. The future focus skill I chose for this assessment task was self-evaluation and self-reflection. I chose this future focus skill because it was very prominent in the task. When completing the task, I had to follow a set structure, as the task required thinking on another scale. For each question I had gotten wrong, I had given myself time to reflect later to assess where I had gone wrong in my thought process. Some problems that I encountered: a barrier in terms of communications, as this task was completed in lockdown. Some aspects of learning I had were I learned that the uses of force and distribution throughout the task, it's new information for me. The second task that we did for Engineering Mechanics 101 was the catapult. This involved designing a catapult structure that could launch a ping pong ball. It also involved building the structure using paddle pop sticks, recycled materials, hot glue, and syringes that acted as hydraulics, and of course testing the catapult. The future focus skill I had focused on for this subject was being a collaborative learner. This was a group task, so I was required to work in a group of 3. I was friends with both of these students, but one of the students had recently moved to this school, so it was fairly hard to collaborate and share our ideas together, especially in the midst of lockdown. Being a collaborative learner, I was open-minded and flexible to create a design that we all agreed on. Some problems that I had with this task was the catapult had to incorporate a hydraulic syringe to act as the force which launched the ping pong ball. We didn't account for this in our design, so we had to make a few last-minute adjustments. Communicational errors online, as you know, we were in lockdown, so yeah. Some aspects of learning that I had: I used my knowledge of force and moments to create a working catapult. This learning is what enabled our launcher to be successful, and for finishing on time as we were one of the first scripts to complete. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Yeah.